Namaskar. Hello and welcome to 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗚 channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Joining me today is Shekhar Iyer ji. We talk about one very hot topic about Indigo as well as some other things that are happening in and around India. Let's welcome Shekhar Iyer ji. Shekhar ji, namaskar and welcome to 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗚 channel. How are you, sir?
Namaskar, Shree ji, namaskar. I mean, last 2-3 days have been such a harrowing time for hundreds of passengers across India. I mean, Indigo became, it did not go. And people were saying that, the famous film 𝗤𝗏 𝗍𝗏, it was all 𝗓𝗟 𝗍𝗏. All there, and some airport had to be closed, like Pune airport, because their bays were all occupied by non-flying Indigo aircraft. I mean, how did things come to such a pass? And that has shocked. And the tragic stories of people waiting with the ash of their father, in the airport to carry it and going to immerse it in the Ganges. And some people were literally in tears, saying that some people had saved up the money for this travel. And and it took off, rather, it tried to take off focus from the most important thing that was happening. So you had several conspiracy stories going around because just as you had Delhi riots when US President Donald Trump in his first term was visiting India in February of 2020. Similarly, this Putin visit, did this whole thing have something to do with Putin's visit? I mean, these are pure conjectures and there are no basis to assume that. But this kind of wild speculations came. Of course, the government has now realized that they have to do something about it. And they have now cracked down. They are probably asking for the removal of the Indigo CEO, 𝗤𝗏𝗙𝗏. He's a Dutch citizen who had earlier managed the Dutch Royal Dutch Airline KLM. Well, I mean, this whole mass cancellation of flights. Even today, the cancellations were about 800 flights. And this airline, sir, has grown phenomenally. And in the sense that they operate more than 2,300 flights a day. And some people are trying to say that this airline came to nearly monopolize the aviation sector because of government policies or way the Air India was run down, rather run aground during the previous time when Air India was under government control. And then Air India now reviving, but then after the Ahmedabad air crash and subsequently several technical glitches, Air India has also been struggling. Now, these are the two airlines. There are no other alternatives. There are no choices as such. So, given this scenario, what happened was terrible. Of course, government has today announced some, cap. They have said the airfare, because the air prices had shot up with these cancellations. Something fares were going like 35,000, one way between Delhi and Mumbai. A round trip would be close to 70,000 rupees. I mean, this is the kind of fare you can go. You can go to Dubai and come back. So, and but what is very inexplicable? I mean, inexplicable on the part of the airline is, sir. These have to do with the fact that the pilot's body had moved the court sometime in 2023, saying that they are all being put through heavy duty. Consequently, they are stressed, they are fatigued, and that raises questions about flight safety, flight security. And when the matter had gone to court, then DGCI decided in 2024, January of 2024, that certain norms will be done. That is flight flight duration time limit. Some limits should be set, and for every 7 days, the pilot should get 48 hours of rest. And this was supposed to be mandatory. I mean, that they wanted to start from January 2024, and then airlines made representation saying we can't do it from in 2024, and consequently 2 phases were announced, that you roll it out in the first phase from July of 2025 and the second phase from November of 2025. Almost 12 months were given for them to hire more set of flight crew. But here, in this case, Indigo went on adding aircraft to their fleet, but not the airline crew. I mean, they should have hired more pilots. Of course, there is a tremendous shortage of pilots. Pilots are not easily available for recruitment. At least earlier, airlines used to, fight with one another to snatch pilots. And finally, they came to an agreement that this was not helping them. But with other than Air India and Indigo, the other airlines are operating at much lower scale. Their market share is far below these giants. Sir, Indigo has almost 67% of market share. Another 30% is so with Air India. Now, if this is the scenario, so people don't have a choice. And they were having several flights. Say between Delhi and Mumbai, there were number of flights. Or even with other cities. I mean, in terms of reach, and because I have a figures here which says they had the 65% of the market share. And Air India is the nearest competitor, is just about 25%. And as I said earlier, they were operating 2,300 flights. And when the norms kicked in from November, by the time they should have done the full thing, suddenly you found Indigo cancelling flights. And by end of November, we saw 400 flights being cancelled, 600, 700. And last couple of days, more than 900 flights. And sir, whole problem is when flights got cancelled. I mean, flights got, and finally, when people managed to get on to at least the flight they operated, their luggage were left behind. And many of them were transit passengers. Some of them going abroad. I mean, this kind of thing has left everybody. I'm not getting into that conspiracy story that this whole idea was there is because of Indigo's connection with Turkish airlines. So there is some conspiracy angle to, create a problem when Putin is here. So that, that dominated the media focus rather than the Putin-Modi talks. Well, I don't want to get into the conspiracy, but then big question is asked: an airline which was having best of on-time statistics in terms of the performance was seen as one of the best by world standards. I mean, on time. How could such an airline not conceive the fact that if these norms are coming in, DGCI norms are coming in, and how could they get away? So today, what has happened is people are asking one question. By creating this chaos, did the Indigo management now has forced the DGCI to rather put the flight time duration limit in abeyance till February, because they say Indigo has said we need time till February to hire pilots and implement it.
What were they doing for the last 8 months, sir? The thing has been around for a long time.
I mean, they knew that the first phase was effective from July. They knew the second phase was effective from November. And how did they think that they could just manage this show? Or was it all planned to go up to November and then create a situation, as has happened now, and force the government to... So now the government is in a very, very angry mood. I am told the Prime Minister's office has also got into the picture. And it has signaled to the Indigo management that you have to sack your CEO. That is Peter Elbers. You have to sack him. And also, there is a talk of government may insist on compensation. And some people are even planning to move the courts. because this is nothing to do with weather condition or anything. Of course, the plea of the management is, look, we had operational constraints because of winter. So fog is yet to set in. Here in Delhi, I am in Delhi. Yes, it's getting colder because today I think right now the temperature is 16 degrees Celsius. Since it's cold and there's a wind blowing, that means no question of fog. The colder it gets, then it is better for travelers, in the sense the sky is clear. But they were saying because of winter operational constraints. And of course, today you had front page ads in all newspapers saying we apologize. And their spokesperson have been trying to explain it as, we misjudged the situation. But somebody has to answer, because I do not know how the government can penalize Indigo. And there is even a suggestion that since because of this monopolizing of the sector by Indigo, and when it collapses, then there is a huge strain. So can there be a cap on the number of flights that they can operate? Of course, these all would be flying in the face of letting the market decide. Even this fare cap is not a very reassuring to travelers, because I'll just mention some of the figures, sir. And it is like, up to 500 kilometers, the fare should not exceed 7,500 rupees. That is not a small sum. Similarly, between 500 to 1,000 kilometers, the cap is 12,000 cap. Similarly, between 1,000 to 1,500 kilometers, that will be 15,000 rupees, and above 1,500, 18,000 rupees. And this will be enforced till some time. And this is the peak season of travel. One is Christmas, New Year. Then you have also tourist season, because you have a lot of tourist flow from abroad. People travel to south and even to Goa during this time of the year, because the weather is pleasant. So this whole Indigo's claim that because of the norms, these regulatory norms upset their roster. And this is what has happened. Now, a bit on, as I mentioned earlier, it was pilots who had taken up this complaint and gone to the court, saying that there is a heavy amount of stress and fatigue among the flying crew, and there has to be some given. Now, what the government has done by relaxing the norms, which was announced yesterday, instead of mandatory 48-hour rest period, now they have reduced it to 36 hours. And if somebody is on leave, that will also be taken as part of the rest. Earlier, it was this norm said 48-hour rest, but leave is separate. But now leave has been included for some time. But this all raises question about passenger safety. If our pilots are going to be under such a stress, physical stress and mental stress, because flying is not an easy thing, and which means it raises questions about safety also. And Indigo was boasting all the time, they are buying more aircraft than any other airline. And also, sir, Indigo is an airline modeled on single type of aircraft. The entire fleet is made of Airbus. Unlike Air India, which has a mix of Boeing as well as Airbus. Because it all started with that software glitch in Airbus aircraft, which had affected other airlines also, but it was rectified. But then initially people thought it had to do with the software glitch. But slowly it came to light, it is because the pilots, they said, look, our time flying duration limit is exceeded now, so we are leaving. So as pilots headed home, our airports became waiting halls. People have been sleeping on the floor. Sir, already our airports have been very crowded. Sometimes one wonders whether the way our railway stations used to be are where they are. Some of the railway stations are heavily crowded. Whether it is 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪 Shivaji railway station, what was formerly VT Victoria Terminus in Mumbai, or even Madras Central, or Kolkata's Howrah and Sialda both, or even our New Delhi railway station and our Sarekalekan also. So these were, these are, this is the way it has been. Of course, airports have been privatized and they are trying to create infrastructure. Now there is a move to where now Delhi will soon have another international international airport, because there is already one airport in Indon which caters to NCT area, particularly Ghaziabad side. There is, of course, the IGI Palam Airport, and in a couple of months you may have the Indira Gandhi IGI, this Jawar Airport which is coming up in Noida International Airport. So in terms of infrastructure, a lot of things are happening. But it is the responsibility of these airlines also to do something. Shree Iyerji, is there such a situation? Have you seen such things like this in America, which is entirely operates on market condition, where, of course, we just saw because of government shutdown, because they had problem over Congress and in that we saw that some of the ATC were not functioning because there was no budget to pay their salaries. Shree Iyerji.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, there was a problem when there was a government shutdown. The budget ran out, and then when the government opened again, all the back pages were paid. Everything was made whole. But at the same time, there were a lot of problems like what you mentioned. Some fleets had to be grounded. US has many other challenges, sir, when there is a snowstorm, and snowstorms usually come when there is peak traffic, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and so on. And US manages to somehow, tough it out. That's all I can say. There are airlines like Indigo, such as JetBlue and Southwest, which are basically people movers, meaning like their motto is no more than 20 minutes at the terminal. Planes make money only if they fly. So Indigo has modeled itself after Southwest and Jet Airways, JetBlue, but mostly Southwest. That means that they should have known that if you want to keep the time on the ground at a minimum, you got to have pilots done. Sir, I don't understand. Indian Air Force has a lot of people who take short service commission, 10 years, 15 years. They're still in their prime. They can fly planes and they can actually be pilots. And with Agniveer coming, you will have more people available. I don't buy that they can't find pilots, Shekharji. I think there is something more going on than meets the eye. My personal thing. Sir, Indigo is so focused on cost saving. They don't think twice about making people to take the bus and go to their plane rather than use an aero bridge. Use of aero bridge, Indigo has the least amount of use of aero bridge. They don't consider that if that is there, it makes it easy for people, especially older people, to just, they can use a wheelchair and come to the gate. And they cut ruthlessly, and if they catch an NRI even exceeding 1 kilo extra weight, fleeced. This is an airline I love to hate. I love it because it's on time. I hate it because everything around it is bad. The food they give, don't touch it. I have had very bad experiences, especially some of things like sandwiches. I would not touch it. My personal experience. You shouldn't say that everything is bad, but Indigo is trying to do a no frills airlines, and it amazes me that others like what's that, Vistara or Go Air. There was another one called Go First. These were all backed by pretty rich people. I don't know why they just backed off. I would love to use somebody other than Indigo if they were equally on time. And unfortunately, like you said, today airline travel is not for the affluent, sir. It's for many middle class people also. They find it very convenient. Nothing wrong in that. That means the upward mobility of India has happened. Sir, something is goofy, sir. One thing I would urge the Indian government to do is to start using their Palantir software. Find out who is the original owner of Indigo. Please do that. There's a hint there. You will find out a lot of things. Sir, let's go on to the next topic. Why no RaGa Putin meet? It's hilarious, sir. These guys are clinging on to useless, meaningless stuff. Sir, over to you.
Yes, sir. Well, as we all saw, Putin made a grand entry. He was received by the Prime Minister, and then the Prime Minister took him home. Sir, like it happened in China, this time Putin and Modi sat in an Indian car, in a car provided by the government of India, in a Toyota car, and they went to Mr. Modi's residence, that is 7 𝗥𝗙𝗙𝗏 Marg. There was a private dinner where very informal discussion for a long time, where Prime Minister Modi presented him Russian translation of Bhagavad Gita. And after that, that was yesterday, Saturday, there was a day-long discussion at the Hyderabad house, and it concluded with broad agreements, basically 3 areas, which several times, Shreya, we have always focused in our discussions. One was on energy, how Russia promised to keep up the supplies, and India also conveyed it to the Russia that they would continue to depend on Russia for crude, and if it continues to be available at a discounted price. That was one. And second thing, Russia, details were not released for obvious reasons, because they knew that Donald Trump would be looking at the fine print, what is new has happened. That's why on the day he landed, the Press Information Bureau issued a sort of a clarification saying there is no new agreement as such, because the media was saying lot of new things would happen. They kept saying that lot of these projects, or lot of these the trade deals, which are all ongoing, there is nothing new. So that was one. But then we saw 2 things happening. One was, it was conveyed to Putin that one, India would continue to buy their crude, one, and also they have got into some kind of an agreement as to how to pay for these purchases, because they have been paying through dirhams and yuan and other currencies. Now the idea is that there should be some way in which it can be some agreement between the Russian financial digital services and RuPay. And the other thing that was agreed was Russia is now willing to step up in a big way, contribute to the Kudankulam project. Kudankulam has got now 2 units working, 2000 megawatt, 2000 megawatt. They're speeding up for equipment for 3rd, 4th. And also there are proposals for having what is called modular nuclear power stations, so that smaller ones which can be set up fast. And India has now decided, there is a legislation which is coming up in the current session of Parliament, which is the Atomic Power Act, which is to allow private players enter into agreements with the foreign companies to set up smaller nuclear power stations. and government is pushing it as part of its commitment to reduce carbon emissions and for environment friendly power generation. So that also something has happened. On defense, no details have been released, excepting that the report surfaced that India has been wanting more of those S-400 missile systems after seeing their success in Operation Sindoor, and India has also shown interest in S-500 because S-500 seems to have a better range and better capability in terms of knocking down any missiles, incoming missiles at the range of beyond 500, 600 kilometers. So that's the kind of thing India is now looking. And apart from that, as far as fifth generation aircraft, there was no mention whether India had shown any interest in Su-57. Nothing was mentioned. But I believe there have been great understanding, and those areas are at the moment kept under wraps because even today, External Affairs Minister was attending a media event, and Jaishankar said, "Look, with Russia, it's a long-standing relationship which goes back to the Soviet times, and they have been our steady friend. We have been their steady partners. I mean, so where, sir, I have noticed where both sides give you more of generalities, more in general terms. One can be sure a lot of things have been agreed on specific things. And given this current scenario, with India still negotiating, because coincidentally, a US delegation is here for trade talks, for again picking up threads. Hopefully, that something can be done and tariff can be here. And here, people have been amused by one former Pentagon official saying that Donald Trump indeed deserves the Nobel Prize. And I mean, it is laced with sarcasm that deserves Nobel Prize for getting India and Russia even get closer. This is one of the biggest achievements of Trump. So things like that. But in this, sir, like and there is a sob story here. The sob story is from Rahul Gandhi. So on the day Putin was landing, Rahul Gandhi told reporters, government has blocked our meeting. We have not been allowed to meet him. Normally, this is the practice. As the leader of the opposition, I should have been invited to meet Putin. No such meetings were facilitated. And this is because the government, I mean, here it means the Prime Minister Modi suffers from insecurity. If Rahul Gandhi meets Russian President Putin, why would Prime Minister be insecure? I cannot understand. But the Rahul Gandhi thing is that government has blocked his meeting with Putin because it's so insecure. And Rahul Gandhi says he wanted to meet Putin to give him a different perspective about this country. And he said, we allowed Vajpayee to meet when Congress was in power. But whole Rahul Gandhi was sounding, because, sir, even Kharge did not meet. And to add insult to the injury, the official banquet given by President Murmu to President Putin, Rahul Gandhi was not invited, neither was Mallikarjun Kharge, Congress President and leader of the opposition in Rajya Sabha. And instead, Shashi Tharoor, who is chairman of the Standing Committee on External Affairs, he was invited to join the banquet. And the Congress wanted Shashi Tharoor to boycott that. They said he should not go. But Tharoor, we have seen of late, has been daringly defying the official line. And he said, no, this is exactly, it is so useful to meet these leaders and join this interaction because as a chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, of the Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, it's important that we get to understand their perspective. So this interaction was good. And the impression about Putin was that Putin is in command. And Shashi Tharoor, given his own career in diplomacy and in UN affairs, but here the sob story, unending sob story is saying, and people have been saying some action will be taken against Tharoor. How dare he attend an official dinner in Rashtrapati Bhavan when the government ignored Mallikarjun Kharge and Rahul Gandhi particularly. But MEA reaction was very interesting, sir. What the external affairs officials are saying, look, Putin did not show any interest to meet Rahul Gandhi. Normally, we don't tell them to go and meet. Like during UPA time, the government of India is to suggest to the visiting dignitaries, you have talks with our Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, but do call on Sonia Gandhi. Or allow Sonia Gandhi to call on you, like in the case of it is a president, US president. When Obama came here, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi went and met Obama, the hotel where he was staying. And Obama mentioned in his autobiography, saying that Rahul Gandhi came off as like a haiku student who does lot of talk and boast to impress others. That was not a very complimentary remark. मतलब लगता था कि वो बड़ा ज्यादा दिखाना चाह रहा है. That was what, to put it in the way we understand, that this is what Obama said. But it is a matter of fact that during the UPA rule, Sonia Gandhi was chairperson of the UPA, United Progressive Alliance, UPA chairperson. Of course, we all knew that time she had a lot of role because files would go from PMO to 10 Janpath. And after that, it will come back with whatever message said or unsaid or spoken or unspoken for the Prime Minister to act or not to act. That has been well documented. But the whole approach seems to be that it is a matter of entitlement. Sir, if Narasimha Rao wanted Vajpayee to ask Vajpayee to lead a delegation to say Geneva or New York, that was largely because the kind of role played by Vajpayee when it came to the matters of foreign policy. Or if Advani was allowed to travel to go and meet, to visit Pakistan and also some foreign countries earlier, that is largely because when it came to foreign policy, the manner in which these leaders conducted themselves, though being in the opposition, because they were opposed to political policies, but when it came to representing India's interests, they spoke with one voice. But here, what did we see? We saw when Donald Trump described Indian economy as being dead, Rahul Gandhi said it is fact, it is true, welcomed it. After that, how do they expect government of India would persuade a visiting dignitary like President Putin, whose visit is always very short and very tight scheduled? So one story that is coming out now is that Putin was not interested in meeting Rahul Gandhi. Whereas Rahul Gandhi says, I wanted to share my perspective. So he expected Putin to meet him to know from Rahul Gandhi a perspective on India and India's relations with Russia, Ukraine, and different from the government of India, different from India's approach. But Putin was not interested. And this government is not a UPA government that will tell Putin, Baba, aap mil lo. Milna hi hai. Nahi to hamara sar kat jayega. Like it would have happened in the previous regime. So, I mean, everybody is laughing at it, that why should you make an issue? Arey Baba, if you are not invited, you are not invited. No, you don't bother. But he says, no, this government is blocking it. They are discouraging people. Anyway, and of course, his other party managers have also taken it up and said this is an insult to the institution of opposition, institution of democracy, blah, blah, blah. Shree Iyerji, your thoughts?
Sir, it's like a kid in the candy store and being denied is just putting up a tantrum. Move on, Shekhar-ji. You should not be dignified with more comments than this. Clearly, they are saying anything Modi does, anything BJP does, they want to try and make it look like it's wrong, that there is something outside of that. He is really in the soup as far as the dual citizenship thing is concerned, as well as the National Herald thing is concerned. Now you are seeing his cohorts, Mr. 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗥𝗏 𝗔𝗏, also been summoned by Delhi police. So things are getting really hot. Although, again, I'll hold my breath. I mean, I won't hold my breath that these guys will go to jail. It's a criminal case. They should be going to jail. And somewhere something will be found out saying, oh, this person is over 75 years of age. So they should not be subjected to jail conditions. They shall be in house arrest. Some BS like that will come, assuming that it progresses that far. But Mr. Rahul Gandhi doesn't have any such excuse. He has to go to jail. Sir, let's go on to the next one. This is really, really, really concerning me. A fundamental right of a Hindu to light Deepam, which has been happening for hundreds of years, has been denied by the DMK government. And they go to the extent of, committing contempt of court. Shekhar-ji, I mean, I've been following this very closely. This is going back to Tilak days, sir. Bal Gangadhar Tilak said, who are you to tell me that I did something wrong in my country? Sir, I leave it to you. This is my thoughts.
No, sir, exactly. I mean, even if you set aside for a moment the issues involved in this about Trippuram Kundram, which is one of the 6 abodes of Lord Muruga, 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗪, as they say, is one of the important place. And there has been this problem with a dargah, which has been there for quite some time, and the controversy, the last controversy was about some meat being cooked in the vicinity of the dargah, where the whole hill shrine is considered a Hindu spot of pilgrimage. And of course, that dispute has been going on. Of course, dargah has existed before also. But now the attempt is to say that, look, other than the temple, you cannot have anything else. Sir, basically, there is one place called a place where there is a rock lamp where the lamp is lit. There is a pillar, tool. 𝗏𝗏𝗏, and that is where the lamp is to be lit. This time the request was for 5 people to go and lit the lamp because of 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗏 Deepam. 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗏 Deepam is an important festival. Now, the single judge allowed it. And once he allowed it, they imposed prohibitory orders. So the matter came to the single judge again as a matter of contempt, because after the High Court has issued an order, either you move the higher court or a division bench to stay it. You cannot simply impose an order and say, I won't allow people. I'll come to the political reasons, sir. But before that, let us just see what happened. Then they move the division bench. The division bench upholds the single order and refuses to entertain the state government's plea for disallowing, for disallowing this lighting of the lamp. Then they say that prohibitory orders are in force. Then they come to Supreme Court, Tamil Nadu DMK government, and say, we cannot allow this Deepam to be lit because it is always lit. For the 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪 temple, not in the stone, the pillar. And therefore, and since the temple is under our control, that is Charitable Hindu Endowments Department, only we have right to light a lamp. I mean, what kind of argument is this? And this is the argument they have placed before Supreme Court. That is why we defied it. They are admitting that we committed a contempt. We disobeyed the High Court order because nobody else can go and light a lamp, because only we can do it. The government can do it. And why this approach? And then the DMK leader, senior leader T.R. Balu uses the floor of parliament to castigate that single judge, accusing him of pandering to a particular ideology. Sir, you can criticize the judgment, you can't criticize the judge. That's how contempt is described. You are free to criticize the judgment, question the legal arguments or basis on which a judgment has been pronounced. But you cannot question the character of the judge. That is contempt. And then to say we willfully disobeyed the orders of the court to allow people to go up. And then and they're making the same submission in Supreme Court. We did it because no private person has a right to light lamp there. Only the government can organize it through its department. Sir, what I gather is now they want to show that they are much more pro-minorities than anybody else. And of late we have seen, sir, like there was recently an issue of Annadanam in one of the places, public places. A church body opposed it, saying that it is close to our church. Though it is a public space, we cannot allow Annadanam by an Hindu group. So increasingly these institutions, these bodies which claim themselves to be representing the interest of the minorities, only moving the court to prevent any other festival or activity by any other religious denomination. Now, DMK government, sir, the whole fear is why did they act like this? Because it does baffle logic, common logic. Because once the court order has come, and it was only for 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗥𝗏, you cannot have 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗥𝗏 on another day. It's a particular day when the star is 𝗥𝗘𝗙 and it happens. This is a very big festival. It is equivalent to even 𝗑𝗘𝗙𝗥𝗏, where lamps are lit at specific places in important shrines, in temples, as well as in homes, like it is done in 𝗑𝗘𝗙𝗥. Now, the fear I am told, sir, the political reason is very simple. They fear this 𝗤𝗏 𝗦𝗏𝗏 has been making inroads into minority votes, considering the backing that Vijay has got from minority bodies and religious leaders. So they thought if by court order, even if such a thing has happened, then questions would be raised about DMK's commitment to protect the interest of minorities, which goes by under the A of secular, protecting, that is giving priority to minority rights or to minority sentiments, is secularism for these people. So they thought if it is allowed even by a court order, then 𝗤𝗏 𝗦𝗏𝗏 will score a point with the minority voters. I do not know if a large section of minority voters are bothered at a place which is a common space, or a temple like Tirupparam, if lamp is lit where it has been traditionally lit, even though there are disputes that whether it is Sikandra Hills or it is Dargah or it is a temple. I think worship of Lord Muruga at Tirupparam, predates arrival of Islam in India.
Comfortably, thousands of years.
I mean, I'm talking a very common man's way of putting it. So therefore, even if Dargah has come up there to honor some a saintly person, that doesn't change the character of that shrine, character of that place. But then if political parties, because they are facing elections, and strangely, sir, other than BJP, nobody is even talking about it. Congress is keeping quiet. And DMK think it has done something so that it has scored some brownie points with some minority groups. 𝗤𝗏 𝗦𝗏𝗏 is silent on this. ADMK has spoken out, EPS has spoken out, BJP, of course, leaders quoted arrest. Nainar Nagendran, H. Raja were all arrested because the government said we have enforce prohibitory orders. No more assembly of, no more 5 persons can assemble there. And the other positive side of this, for once I saw Annamalai in the company of Thamizhai Soundararajan giving a united message that he is very much part of the BJP, and he because he held the press conference to describe the sequence of events.
We carried it live, sir. We carried it live on P Guru's Tamil.
Which sir, I thought was, it would at least put an end to all this talk of Annamalai leaving the BJP, forming his own party. And probably it followed his meeting with Home Minister Amit Shah. I think it is a positive sign. At least they are back to, BJP leaders are now again keen that they should unite to defeat the DMK. And they must see that this alliance with ADMK works. So that's a positive side of it. But sir, I want to draw attention equally to something else which has happened in Bengal. A Trinamool leader, 𝗤𝗓𝗡𝗅, he has laid the foundation for a Babri Masjid in the Muslim-dominated Murshidabad district. The day he announced that he is going to do this, Mamata suspended him from party. And so today, coinciding with your 33rd anniversary of Babri Masjid's demolition, that is today, December 6th, we saw visuals of people carrying bricks for this new masjid to be called Babri Masjid. Obviously, Mamata realizes this will have a very, very negative fallout. And this is a place called Baldanga. And this district has at least 67% Muslim population. Now, we are told it was a very grand affair. There were clerics who had come from Saudi Arabia for this function, for the laying foundation stone for a Babri Masjid, quote unquote. And the other trivia of this is that 7 catering agencies were hired to supply biryani for almost some 60,000 people. The local residents are 20,000 and some 40,000 people. And they have spent almost 70 lakhs for this function. And in this case, sir, the people had moved the Kolkata High Court, to stay this. Kolkata High Court refused to give any interim stay. Now, for some reason, Mamata realizes this is getting a bit too far, because this will have a negative effect on our voters also. So she distanced itself and suspended this 𝗤𝗓𝗡𝗅. Sir. Now, one thing, approaching elections means, why does Stalin as well as Mamata feel they have to do even more to retain those minority votes? So you have done so much for them, yet you feel that they will go away because of a single thing. This is what I don't understand, sir. If you feel you are done so much for your vote bank, why do you fear desertion? That means even you are not confident that your permanent vote bank is with you. You are worried some new players will come. Like Mamata's case, she is worried because of a party started by a cleric called Indian Secular Front. In Stalin's case, he is worried by Tamil 𝗏𝗡𝗥𝗏𝗃. And thereby conveying a message, like DMK, Tamil 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃 of Vijay is also dependent on minority votes. That's why you fear that your votes will go to them. Sir.
Thank you so much, sir. The thing also is, both these people you're talking about, Stalin and Mamata, they can't even spell governance. So we can't expect governance from them. So the only thing that they are doing is to try and somehow whip up passions to keep people divided. And my information is that Stalin is really sick. I don't know if some of these actions are being taken with his full knowledge. Unfortunately for him, when it blows back, it will blow back on him personally and also on the party, because he's the face of the party. I would advise, of course, nobody is going to listen to me. I would advise that DMK consider their position very carefully. If TVK takes your Christian vote, sir, you are being very nice. You are saying, minority vote, this thing, that thing. TVK takes Christian vote, and Muslims are getting uneasy because Hindus are being allowed their rightful privilege to go and light the lamp. What about us? So these are all whipped up fancies and passions. At the end of the day, it doesn't give you a dime. You still have to go out and earn your keep. And I just goes back to that, sir. They don't know how to govern. Whatever progress is happening in in Bengal and Tamil Nadu is happening despite these people. There's not much to say about what they have done. Show me one thing that Stalin can hang his hat on and say, this is what I accomplished. That tells you the whole story, sir. And same with Mamata. 3 terms now, 4th term starting now. I'm hearing that the SIR, the government center, I think Amit Shah has told her, you touch one SIR person and we are going to dismiss your government. So what they are doing is doing everything else but to physically touch them, like verbally harass them when they go through their job. They are doing a lot of intimidation, verbal intimidation, sometimes probably even physical, shoving and jostling, but not attacking anybody. So there is some frustration. Why are you frustrated, ma'am? What have you done for the state? Why don't you put out your achievements? Sir, these people are not understanding one simple thing, sir. Bihar voted so resoundingly for BJP on the ground of what they have done for the women of the state. It's palpable, sir. You saw it. Every sister, every mother, every grandma, every daughter was saying this thing consistently. Everybody knew this. So you should be, trying to improve the lives of people. Sir, under Tamil Nadu government, they have doubled or even tripled the electricity charges for middle class, because there is a ceiling, right? Below that, nobody pays anything. And above that, that gets into the industrial belt. So there is a middle class malai which gets hit. I don't know, sir. Tamil Nadu is really, really ready for a change, and a permanent change. It's a permanent change. It's not something that's intermediate. I don't want any more Dravida parties coming back and forth. These are all not much different, sir. You saw Sengotian has moved to TVK. He thinks that by moving that, suddenly TVK is going to become, a party to contend with. Sir, my information is, including Vijay, the top 10 people in the party are all Christians, sir. They are trying to hide it. Okay. Once that comes out, people will know. You cannot hide, especially in a communally aware society like Tamil Nadu, people will come to know. Oh, he is this guy, this is this guy. So this is a very, very bad way to go about running politics. Because counter polarization will be very, very strong this time.
Sir,
I think
there is one interesting report which I want to draw your attention. Today, the Tamil media has been carrying stories about Praveen Chakravarti. He is a data analyst with Congress. He is very close to Rahul Gandhi. He met Vijay yesterday at his house. He had a long chat. And this visit, apparently, he carried some message from Rahul Gandhi to Vijay, and with some proposal for an alliance. This has obviously upset Stalin and other leaders, because it was Stalin who had, somewhat conveyed a deadline that you should have, straight away start discussions. And Stalin wanted a clarification. Are you continuing? Do you want this alliance to continue, or you are trying out something else? No, we will be having talks. So they set up a 5-member committee, but I don't know if the 5 committee has met. But DMK has made it clear they won't give more than 15 seats. Not like last time. They don't want to risk any seats with the Congress. Now, this is the reason why, say, a section of the Congress, Tamil Nadu Congress, has been insisting that we should examine the option of Vijay. Tamil Vetri Katchi is an option for us. And they are saying that, look, and we have mentioned it before also, that leaders like Manikam Tagore, Kartik Chidambaram, Jyotimani, these leaders have been trying to convey to Rahul Gandhi through 𝗟𝗙 Venugopal. He is a very important Congress functionary, Congress General Secretary, that an alliance in Tamil Nadu will help you in Kerala as well as in Pondicherry, because Pondicherry also goes to elections. And I have told Congress has made some suggestions. And 𝗟𝗙 Venugopal is keen that if we get into an alliance with Vijay, it will also influence in the neighboring Kerala, the Kerala Assembly elections, particularly those districts which are bordering Tamil Nadu. So, and this has become a very big thing. Now, there are other stories coming now by the evening buzzes that Praveen Chakravarti has exceeded his brief in meeting Vijay. This is coming from the Congress section, a section of the Congress which wants to stay with DMK. So there's a lot of things brewing now. Now, so there are enough reasons for Stalin to get worried about what is happening to the DMK-led front. What is Congress up to? Sir.
Thank you so much, sir. What happens in Tamil Nadu politics is that there is a DMK lobby within Congress, a DMK lobby within BJP, there's an ADMK lobby within BJP, ADMK lobby within Congress. These national parties have been sidelined for a long time. They need to grow a spine. I know many of you will not like it. That is the truth. And this was all, electoral math, convenience, what have you. Indira Gandhi started it, and it is stuck now. And I think if for TVK to make an impact, they need to have a alliance with the Congress, Shekharji. That's when they have a realistic shot at getting a fairly big number. And again, I hold my thing back. Congress is expected to get the Muslim vote towards this TVK Congress combined. As to that, well, will that happen or not? We don't know. The Muslims been fed this thing for a long time that anything outside of BJP is okay, and that itself is wrong. Your vote is precious. You should think with your head rather than not with your heart, or not listen to the local mullah or the padre. And so we have to start from that level and look at things, sir. Certainly, Tamil Nadu is very, very interesting, but the NDA has its work cut out. You have to find good candidates, good campaign like your life depends upon it. They don't do it. That's why I'm saying all this. Booth level strength. With ADMK, it does improve a little bit because ADMK does have the cadre at the booth level. But again, I don't know. EPS's record on transferring ADMK votes to NDA has been, shall we say, questionable. So we have to wait and see how that goes, sir. For me, DMK has to go. I think that's the only thing. Let's go to question and answers, please.
Sir.
Vijay Kumar wants to know, is Tamil Nadu already part of Union of States where you are not even allowed to Aarti in spite of court's order? Your view, sir. It goes back to what I said about Tilak, sir.
Yes. No, this only goes to show that this is the way situation was earlier in North India, which ultimately led to the rise of BJP. So by suppressing these things or harassing people who want to visit the shrine, by doing this, you are encouraging, you are creating an environment where ultimately people will believe very firmly that the present dispensation is out to encourage only Muslims for sake of votes. Now, this is in a way it is going to help, and the other parties are keeping silent. And they fear that if we speak, we lose votes. So this is only going to make many people wake up in Tamil Nadu and see why is it happening like this. Sir.
Next question, 𝗍𝗫𝗚 wants to know how much electoral bonds did Indigo purchase?
Well, I don't think anything we heard it officially to any particular figure, but it's a good question for probe. Whether the promoters of Indigo purchase, we have to first see.
Next one, please. 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪 Kaul wants to know, isn't it sabotage? Why did Indigo collapse on 4th December, a day before Putin's arrival? During Trump's visit in his first term, massive riots took place in Delhi.
Well, I did mention about this speculation which is going on, whether this was intended to be made into something that will hijack attention away from Putin's visit. So this question is there, but I don't think they were deeper. But the fact that Indigo failed to work for following the norms set by DGCI for the sake of safety, travel safety, that was largely ignored, and the Indigo management went on buying aircraft but not hiring pilots. That is more likely reason, sir.
Krishnamurthy wants to know, Soros entities are banned in Russia. They avoid anyone linked to him. Putin is a patriot who doesn't tolerate Gaddars, which likely explains why he didn't meet a certain person during his visit. Sir.
No, sir. The fact
it's up to him who he wants to meet and not meet, right? I mean, it's Putin's decision. Yeah.
And this particular visit was to commemorate the 23rd anniversary of this kind of annual summits. And he is very clear, sir. The interview also he gave, he's very clear about it. In fact, a question was put to Putin by the only interview he gave here in India as to which leader does he think has helped to strengthen the Indo-Russian relationship. Putin said, look, I don't like to analyze individual leaders. All I know is India-Russia relation go back to long time. Because probably the questioner wanted to say that, no, it was Nehru's time, things started moving with the Soviet Union. And he didn't give such a reply. He gave a very pragmatic reply. He says, I do not be very nice, polite to, talk about individual leaders and who contributed how much for the strengthening of the Russia-India bond. He didn't say that. Sir.
Next one, please. Milburn wants to know, I saw that something about Maelstrom has happened. So there could be a connection besides being short of staff, etc., etc. Something about GPS spoofing, sir.
No, that GPS spoofing has all been confirmed. It's under investigation. But this is more to do with the fact that it collapsed on the day of Putin's arrival. Indigo collapse. That has been viewed by suspicion with many people. But these are conspiracy theories. I don't see that. But it remains. It's a fact which we can see for ourselves that the Indigo management did not take steps that it should have taken to hire more pilots in the time they had to do it, and not come up with this kind of a situation where they cancel flights and then they get time to reorganize things. I think the government is very, very angry with Indigo, no doubt about it.
Magnet Ranga wants to know, Namaste, is it the prerogative of the visiting dignitary of who he wants to meet, or does the GOI have a say? I think we discussed this quite a bit.
Yeah, we discussed it. The GOI may have a view, but more important, if the other person, like Obama, insisted on meeting Sonia Gandhi, and that was allowed. Sir.
Next one, please. Why not Indian CEO for Bharat Airline? Sriram wants to know.
Yes, I mean, there is no reason why an Indian should not be a CEO. Of course, today, the people who are appointed as CEO, they come with vast experience in their own respective countries, how they have turned around airlines. And with the search is always for ideation, people who can come with ideas. So these airlines, often have had at the top management level, foreign citizens, but who have a very rich experience in managing smaller airlines or bigger airline. Sir.
Next one, please. Ameya Rupal wants to know, overcrowding of Indian public places is a result of overpopulation. No matter how much infra we build, it gets overcrowded in no time. Basic problem is population.
Yes, there is population is also a concern, but then we have also seen birth rates have not been rising like earlier. That is one. And as far as public spaces are, where what happens is, particularly at different times, sometimes it's very difficult for authorities to manage. Say there is a huge shopping rush. End of the year, you see shopping crowds. That also sometimes turn out of control. So these are, yes, that is true. Even as we go on expanding our infrastructure, unless we have some kind of a, I would say, if not a control, some kind of an understanding of our population is growing, that will help in creating infrastructure in time. At the same time, also make people conscious of the fact that with the resources being a constraint, that parenthood should be a matter of great deliberation. Sir.
Thank you, sir. And that brings us to a close of today's program. A very, very interesting and absorbing session. Thank you so much, Shekhar-ji. We'll be seeing you again on Wednesday at same time. Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaskar.